Well, welcome to the live show, and in particular, welcome to James Ruth in the live show. Just to give everybody
everyone.
Yeah. If you haven't seen James on the channel, make sure you go and check out some of our videos where he's going to be he plays golf on the channel. Now, James played European Tour this year, played PGA Cup at Fox Hills, playing professional, but also quite a lot of coaching kind of in your downtime.
Yeah, a lot of coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're going to be talking about today, we're talking about loss of power. And there's many ways that you can lose power within the golf swing. But James has come to this show to talk about a early release.
Yeah,
that's
early
release.
release.
That's the kind of focus point
Or
today.
sort of flipping. You can kind of call it either, but some people say flipping, but early release, yeah.
Yeah. So there's, like I said, there's a number of ways that you might be losing a little bit of power. You might also be someone that tends to see the club face rotate or flip quite quickly through the ball. Well, James has just got some ideas that he wants to share with us today, and I'm really interested in this because I'm one of those players. I wouldn't say that I lose necessarily lots of power because I deliver too much loft, but I'm certainly a player that likes to get that club face to rotate pretty quickly. So this is something that I'm looking forward to taking in as well, James.
Yeah, perfect.
So just talk us through what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through what James has to say in the live show first. We want to see you interacting as well. So if you've got any comments that you've got that you want to put out to James that is in relation to what we're actually talking about, then don't hesitate to get into the comments. Send us over a couple of questions and we're going to come to those at the end. But ultimately, initially, we want to just try and get to the main focal point of what James wants to get across, and then we'll open it up to a few more questions out there. So just talk to us a little bit then, James. Sort of talk to us about what early release, what that is and what it actually means.
So when we're looking at early release, basically we've got the club up to the top, and then the kind of club head gets thrown out. All right.
So when you say thrown out, you're going to lose this kind of angle here.
Yeah. So that angle, when maintained,
yes,
turning into the ball, you create that nice shaft lean, deliver less loft at impact, and create a downward sort of pressure on the golf ball.
Yeah.
When we go this way,
yeah,
a lot of our force is sort of thrown out here.
Yeah.
And then in a sort of rescue to square the face, we kind of end up flipping
the club face,
club face that way and adding loft. It also mainly happens because there is an open club face on the backswing. So the club face is generally open and people are trying to rescue. So
there's a few reasons why, if you're somebody that does this, why you kind of get there, or why that people do it, and we can also talk about what you would expect to see from your ball flight or strike or something along those lines as to, you know, how this will affect it, should we say. So just talk to me, just get yourself into that position again. And you talk about the loss of power. Let's go with power to start with. So by losing this angle on the way down, what's it actually going to start to do when we come back down to impact? And if you take a video of yourself as you come back down to impact, you're going to kind of start to see, if we bring you around actually onto this camera there, James, you're going to start to see that impact position where the handle actually sits just a little bit back or almost like square. But where would you like to see that position at impact? What's the kind of visuals for a lot of people there, isn't it? So handle just slightly pushed forward ahead, almost like mirroring what you would get, let's say, from an address position.
Yeah, so you'd look for the handle. I think there's an optimum of maybe 15 degrees further ahead, but as the weight shifts, your body mass shifts into the back of the ball.
Yes.
That sort of handle wants to be ahead of the club head, therefore sort of that downward strike and actually delivering less loft than what you've had at address.
And that's a really good point, actually. If I just grab that club off you and get to this back camera there, Jordan on camera. What James is talking about there is as that handle gets kind of leant back here, you can see that what's going to happen to the club face is we're actually going to deliver more loft. So if you've got a 6 iron that, let's say, what's a 6 iron? 30 degrees of loft, something like that, you're probably going to start to deliver maybe even a 7 or even an 8 iron, and in some cases probably even more than that.
Correct, yeah.
So actually just that setup position where you feel like you have your handle forward, that's actually de-lofting the club a fraction, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
And the more you lean a club back or the more you add loft to a club, you're actually creating what we call more deflection, so more slide off the club face because of this angle. And actually you lose ball speed, don't you?
Yeah, lose power.
That's the key ingredient there.
And one thing you're probably not going to get is that centre strike. So one thing you see with earlier release is fats, thins, and like
a number of things.
Yeah, combine that with adding loft and you've really have a massive loss of power.
So going into that in a bit more detail. So thinking about if you're the player that, let's talk about some of the key things. You've mentioned fatting.
Yep.
So fatting means like kind of catching the ground before the ball.
Yep.
That could be a result of this action that James is talking about with the early release, or not holding that angle quite as long through the swing. You talked about thinning it as well.
Thinning it, yeah. So when the club tends to work a little bit that way, depending on where the sort of player's low point is, they can actually glance the ball on the up, so catch it thin.
Yeah. So again, as you're coming into impact, if I grab a golf ball there, James. So as you're coming into impact here, if this is my impact zone and I kind of want my low point to be pretty much directly under the ball, almost ahead as I'm blowing down, what you're going to find is that the low point, which is where the club starts to impact the ground, it could just be a little bit behind the ball.
So heavy or thin, yeah.
Heavy, so catching the ground before the ball, but also as it then starts to bottom out, it's then going to start to rise up, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
Which is where you're talking about that lots of players can catch it a little low in the face, or even, might be thin, but also might just feel a bit clunky down the bottom of the club, even if they get a couple of grooves up from there.
That's right.
Okay. So other shots, what are we going to see from this, let's say from a ball flight? So obviously a fat shot or heavy shot, ball's not going to go very far.
Yeah.
A thin shot's going to come out a lot lower.
Yeah.
And generally probably go out with a bit of pace and not going to stop a great deal on us.
Yeah, and then
what are
the sort of good strikes will be high.
Okay.
Because they've added loft, it'll be a lot higher. So, on a launch monitor, if 7-iron is roughly 17, 18 degrees of launch, you'd see launches up at 23, 24 degrees. If you've got a TrackMan, you can kind of monitor it that way.
Yeah.
If you're launching it kind of 24, 25 degrees with a sort of 7-iron, you're going to be losing quite a lot of distance and a lot of power because of that.
Okay. Well, what I thought we could do, before we start working on actually what we can do to change somebody or get a feeling for it, can I just get you to hit a couple of shots? And I just want to read out some of the numbers that you're getting if you deliver that with a little bit too much, let's say too much loft. So let's say you hit a good strike now, James, but let's just see if we can follow that up with a good shot, and let's see what the delivery is of an impact for that. Okay, nice. And what I'm kind of going to start to look at and James would do the same from a coaching point of view, is we're going to start to look at possibly what loft is being delivered, and then the kind of launch angles that kind of come into here. So we'll have a quick look. So you're delivering at the moment there, James. You're delivering 29 degrees of loft.
Yep.
Okay. And your launch angle, and we can see it up here. I'm sure. We can actually see it there. So launching it at 22 degrees. Yeah. And like I said, your loft is at 29 degrees. Now remember, you've got a 6-iron?
6-iron, yeah.
So we've got 6-iron in hand. What are we looking for for a reference point as the kind of optimum for a 6-iron?
Launch angle, probably for me, maybe
this one here.
15 degrees. Yeah. Something like that. So 22. And carry distance in the range of about 185, 190.
For you personally?
For me personally.
Okay, so we're gonna hit that shot in a moment because I want to see what the differences are. But loft at 29 and launch at 20. Right, now just hit one normally. I just want to see as a reference point. I know you say that's the numbers, but I just want to see what the references are here. Ball speed at 117.86. Okay, good. Good strike.
Yeah.
That was nice. Got it a little bit left, so he's lost a little bit of spin on it. So it's gone out there a little bit further, probably based on that. Yeah. Jordan, where are you at with? If we split the screen there for me. Good. So you can probably see down the line now that ball turning over a little bit. But if we then go to your launches, now remember, James's launch is. Was at 22 degrees in his launch position, okay? But you're kind of saying with the 6-iron optimizing at 15.
Yeah, 15 for me is pretty sort of good. So
launch though, 14.2. So
the club face came in a little bit shut, yeah.
And your loft, 15.6.
Yeah.
So we got that feeling of the club face just turning over a little bit, getting it going left. But you can see the big difference there between the launching massively down. Yeah. And the loft massively down, and that's a reflection. And then obviously yardage-wise, you're going to see it going out there because we're going to generate a little bit more ball speed.
Completely.
Somebody's just walked in, has something
look
to
at this,
say. Coffee boy,
Thank you very much.
welcome. All right.
What are we doing today then?
We're doing early release, Bernie. Not something that you'd ever have to actually worry about
Never
yourself.
been premature myself.
No, carry on. See you later. Thanks for that. Coffee boy today is Bernie.
Yeah.
It's
a very good coffee
Friday
boy
is
as well.
Coffee boy. Okay, right. So we've talked about what people expect to see.
Yeah.
We've talked about what the numbers are that what people would see, let's say, from a TrackMan point of view or quad or whatever they use. How do we deal with this? Give me some drills. Give me some ideas that you would focus on.
So without a ball or hitting some softer shots, one thing I've sort of seen over the years is a kind of a claw grip.
Okay, let's just get up nice and tight on the camera there and just show what.
So basically, we're getting the club in the centre of our four fingers here, and we're putting it into the grip as so. Okay.
Crikey, you're going deep here, aren't you?
Yeah. So it's right in there. So basically, what that will do then is when we're bringing the club down, it's very difficult to kind of flip with that feel. So we've got to feel like the back of the left hand really pulls the handle through and keeps our hands ahead of the ball. So that there is pulling that, and then you can see I'm delivering less loft at impact as I'm going down. Okay.
So I'm going to be, so you've got me, so I've got little finger and second fingering.
So in the two of the four, yep.
Now you're not going to get someone to hit a shot like this.
Yeah.
You
so
can
you're,
hit shots with
that? So you're going to go in and hit a half shot for me now.
It's half shots.
Yeah, so not a full one because you might injure yourself. But
so I can feel that going in
yeah,
between
so you're going to basically pull that left hand through. That's it.
So what it does is it makes the left hand become your lead.
Correct. So you're going to feel like you're going to drag the handle before you then release it.
Okay, so I'm getting the sense that I want to pull. I'm pulling now with the left hand leading the charge.
Yeah, rather than any feel of that right wrist wanting to flip underneath. Yeah, correct.
Would you say that you sense this more with right dominant hand golfers?
Yeah, certainly I coach a guy who's very, very left-handed, but he plays right-handed.
Yeah.
So he, strangely enough, he has a real issue of flipping, bizarrely enough. So it can happen for both.
So just getting the sense. What are we doing here? Am I interlock? Because I'm an interlocker.
No, you're literally just placing that on the club as so.
Okay.
You're not gripping in. You're
just
literally
keeping it
there. So it makes it really difficult to release and flip that club. Yep.
Pulling that through.
Half shot. And you're really pulling that.
Yeah. That'll take a bit of time to get used to, but I get the feeling instantly that this is becoming the dominant.
Yeah. So you're dragging that club through with the left hand.
That's better.
Yeah, nice.
That's much better. Okay, so and that ultimately, if I just do it with the actual club itself with the dotted up, so just getting the sense of that pulling with my left hand. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, much better. Yeah, I felt that. But my delivery of my launch angle there's around 12. Delivery of loft around 17 degrees.
Yeah.
We're going to see those numbers just drop off a fraction if we're doing half shots anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
But definitely that, having the lead arm coming through, I can sense that.
Yeah.
So that's a good little drill for someone to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. So
if players don't like that or they don't like the feel of that kind of sense moving into maybe bigger shots.
Yeah. So basically, somebody that flips the club is getting in a position where they're kind of almost back behind it that way. Okay. So once we're up at the top here.
Yeah. So George, get us into the front screen if you can there. There you go. Perfect. Okay.
So there, I want to feel like my right arm stays on my rib cage as I'm coming down.
Yeah.
So I'm moving my weight towards the ball.
What do you see then? Hold it there. Just hold it there for me. Just hold it there. So when you see this position go this way, does this pull away? Is this what you're saying?
The angle becomes greater.
Okay.
So the hands actually create an angle that go greater that way and then go there.
Okay.
All I'm looking to do is move my mass, so move my weight towards my left front leg.
Yeah.
And basically pull onto my rib cage with my right arm. So you see I'm keeping that angle here.
Yeah.
Lag, they talk about it. A lot of the sort of players talk about creating lag for power, and then from there I'm able to deliver the club with less loft at impact. Yeah. So the problem is if I go that way, like I say, I've lost that angle, and you can get chicken wing, you can get all sorts going on through impact.
Yeah.
If I maintain my right arm on my rib cage as I'm coming down, create that lag, and then I can deliver that club into the ball. So a really good drill would be to get the club up to the top, pressure that rib cage, and then just turn through and hit.
Yeah, and that's the important bit with this, isn't it? Because there's a lot of players that don't turn enough. I'd be certainly one of those.
Yeah.
What was the box bit? What is that?
So the box would be, because Problem is sometimes when doing this,
Yeah.
is that your tendency would be to kind of, when you're moving forwards, be pulling the hands out. So I want you to feel like you're almost on a roller where your weight is shifting straight towards the ball before you can then open up.
Okay, so it's a combination of making sure that we're not losing the club this way. We're just trying to keep it in.
Just keep it in really tight, and then we can deliver the club that way.
And interestingly there, I mean, we talk about like loss of power.
Yeah.
Loss of power. Would you say that the loss of power, even though there's maybe a small drop off in club head speed, would you say that the loss of power is actually more down to because of the fact that you're delivering so much more loft, that you're starting to get the fact that you're losing more ball speed rather than club head speed? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Because of the missed strike, you know, you're losing, like you say, so much because of loft and, like you say, missed strike. If you're adding 10 to 12 degrees of loft, you've lost a lot of distance, especially in wind and things like that, and in the cold air, the ball's just not going to fly as far.
So spin numbers drop off a little bit, as in if you add too much loft, they're going to pick up, therefore that ball flight goes up and spins a fraction more.
Correct,
potential
so
with
you
that
could
as
lose
well.
a lot more distance into the wind.
Like that. Good little drills there. Anything else that you've got to add to that?
So again, another drill you might do is actually try and feel like you get in your sort of address position and then push the ball forwards, okay? So you feel like you're able to pressure the ball at impact. So rather than, like you say, going up and under that way, you just drag the ball off the mat and push it forwards. Because you're actually feeling like your hands are interacting with the floor after the ball and really driving forwards and off the mat. So if you look at my weight here, everything's moving forwards, nothing's hanging back and going that way, it's all going forwards.
And what else I noticed there, and I know this we're moving on a fraction from that early release as a sense, but I noticed this foot wants to, you're wanting to roll that in, and you know, you've seen this, haven't you, a number of times in magazines and loads of videos where people talk about, you know, preset your impact position.
Yeah.
You know, get that sense of, well, what is it actually, you know, at address, pointing that butt of the club more towards kind of like your left pocket area if you're a right-handed golfer, and obviously the reverse for lefties out there, but just getting the sense of feeling as though that handle is just a fraction head of the ball.
Yeah.
And then what does it feel like to get that sense of getting that position on the way down and bring that through the swing? I mean, it's an important factor, isn't it? Setup is so important that you almost presetting impact there.
Definitely, and some of it can be a strength issue.
Yeah.
So if you've got clubs that are too heavy for you, so if you pass me that one there, Dan. Yeah. So if you've got clubs that are too heavy for you,
down the line, George, that's it.
If you get one club in each hand and you make your backswing, okay, when you're coming down, what you'll see with some early release people, that they want to get there and the right hand wants to go
takes
down.
over this hand.
And you know, if you try and hold that position for a long time, it's quite difficult. You need a good bit of strength, and then you can deliver. And then again, see how now both clubs are in a position where my hands are ahead.
Yes.
If you're somebody that early releases, it's going to be very difficult to maintain that angle there and turn through. So doing it separately with both hands, you might notice that that right hand wants to go that way, you see? So I can maintain with the left hand, but that wants to go there. So quite a good drill again is to try and hold those angles, keep those clubs in parallel lines, and then rotate the body onto it and keep those hands ahead.
Love that. That's good. Really like that. Right, George, what have we got from a questioning? Anything come in? Let me have a quick look at the iPad over here. Anything jump out?
There's a good one about could early releasing tie into early extension, or somebody that early extends?
Just a quick one. You've got that. Sorry, say that again.
So talking about early release.
Yeah.
And early extension, how they kind of intertwine with each other. If you're an early player that early extends, do you get early releasey as well?
That's a very good question. So I can't find it on where Jordan's found a question here. So who was it? Russell saying, afternoon, would this fault bring in an early extension too?
It can do. Early extension can come from a variety of things. The most common I see is people that are toe bias. Yes. So people that get on their toes then almost have to early release to be able to bring their sort of weight backwards to then be able to deliver the club. Like I say, it's not something I would say was mainly related to early release, early extension, but it certainly could have a factor in why people early release.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, early extension, there's so many reasons why people will start to chuck this club out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Even anxiousness of just getting back to the ball is one of the other things that we can start to see.
One thing I see when people, like say, talk about early release, they come in and say, I need to get rid of my early release. Well, sometimes early release is actually helping a lot of people, so there might be another fault in there which is causing that.
Yeah, absolutely right. Are you meaning early hip extension? That's another question by, I don't know. No.
That's early release.
That's early release. Shanking shots according to that. So I think that pretty much, I don't think we've got anything. Yes, roll onto the right instep is a trait in field. So Roddy, he says that he is a fault of not probably rolling that right foot as a thought.
Yeah.
So again, pretty much what we were just talking about there at a dress position.
Yeah.
You know, having the sense of as you come this way through to kind of impact, or getting that sense of pushing that ball like you talked about, make sure this foot wants to just kind of feel like it's rolling in, not lifting up.
Because once you roll the foot, basically all we're looking to do at impact is pressure the golf ball. So,
just have a quick look. There you go, George.
So once we're rolling that right foot, I also want to feel, once that right foot starts to roll that way, that my right sort of palm is pressuring downwards. So rather than any kind of, like say, under release where the palm works upwards, if I can really pressure that palm downwards, then whilst rolling with that right foot, it's much easier then to get that downward strike. So pressuring that way.
Just quickly moving on then, we talked about, we've talked about the thoughts of that early release and adding too much loft. What about, you talked about the flipping sense with the club face, not necessarily just adding loft, but also turning in or leaving it open, closing it down, those sorts of things.
So somebody who gets the club face very open at the top of the backswing will then try and flip or early release to try and square that club face up. Okay, so if they just came in with that open club face, the ball's going to go right. So they're trying to, like you say, rescue it, and that's where they get the sort of flipping or early release feel, adding loft and misstriking. But generally it can be a fault in the backswing of getting that club face too open. So it may go away if you get the club face sort of more on your spine angle, going back. So that can be a really good tip to try and get somebody who early releases. You might be able to get rid of it altogether just by squaring that club face up in the backswing.
That's an interesting one as well, because again, the body, the thing that I notice so much in the golf swing is that, and results of shots, or the shots that we see, is that the body reacts so much to where the club face is pointing, and maybe that's because of where the hands are and things like that. But like James is saying, these are potential management faults. So they're faults that you're creating, you're managing yourself because of having the club in the wrong place or feeling as though it's in the wrong place at the top. These are subconscious things that people
just
don't even know.
reacting and feels. So, the thing I love about golf is the feels. I love to be able to feel something. But if you want to talk about the club face in terms of just one really quick good thing to check the club face on the backswing.
Okay.
So if you stand up straight, club face here, turn your body directly towards your hip, and then you bend over into your golf posture. See there, my club's on my spine angle.
Absolutely.
So what I see with a lot of people is that club face tends to roll. So then when you go into your spine angle, that toe's pointing directly up in the air, almost behind me, which is then delivering an open club face. Okay, so great way to check it is to get square, get it to halfway, tilt into your golf posture, and there it is on your spine angle.
But you go back, and I take us back to, go split screen here, George, see if we can get, there you go. So if I go back to our days of playing golf and learning the game of golf, and who did we have? We had David Ledbetter and Nick Faldo and all these early sort of publications that came out with golf. One of the reference points, if you remember, one of the reference points was, as you get to this position here, this kind of halfway back position, should we say, we want that toe of that club pointing directly up to the thing, face pointing directly against the wall. Whereas actually, probably over time, you talk about a reference point of, the spine, the club face being more in line with the kind of almost like more tilted in.
Correct,
and in line with your spine position. Those are they're just progressions, aren't they? They're progressions, but they're old traits that people think that you've got to roll that club into that position, whereas can cause a lot of damage as well.
Definitely, because as soon as you get sort of rolling here, you're somehow going to then have to get the club face back to square at impact, which then makes it much harder. You know, if that club face could stay on your spine angle all the way throughout the golf swing, it makes it much easier just to manage everything with the body.
Yeah. This is from Russell again. So what would happen if your face is closed with this fault? Good question. So if you're already somebody who's like, you know, a bit hooded at the top, or someone that's already a bit closed, we talk about someone opening the face up, naturally wanting to bring it back down. What would we see possibly for someone who's almost like in a hooded position here, trying to lose that angle, almost trying to get the face to open up on the way through, the reverse? Yeah,
so somebody who does early release from a shut position, again, you're really going to struggle with contact. You're probably going to hit a lot of fat shots.
Fins.
Yeah, get some bad wrists because that's a not uncomfortable position. So you'd still probably find that they would flip an early release and the ball would probably go quite a long way left.
Okay. Good. I think that's pretty much, I think that sums up our video for this week. Anything else that you want to bring to the table whilst we're here in the studio?
No, I think it's just a good understanding of, you know, those are feels that, you know, you can do without a ball.
Yeah.
So, you know, right elbow on the rib cage.
Yeah.
Here, create that sort of angle there, and then, you know, turn through. That could be a great drill for anybody that even doesn't suffer with early release.
Yeah. Now, don't forget, these are our live shows. The idea is that we're going to be bringing these to us. I've got a list of pros that want to come and get involved with these live shows. The idea is that they bring some techniques along with them, some ideas, some faults that they see on a day-to-day basis when they're coaching. So if you've got any questions that you've got with regards to different types of swings, don't hesitate to send that in as well. We can always look at that in a later date. But a big thank you to James for coming in and sharing his thoughts with us on the early release. If it's something that you are struggling with, obviously go and focus on some of the drills that James is saying. But like we say, always try and book him for a lesson if you possibly can. Iron out those faults. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see everyone again probably on our next live. See you later.
Thank you.